All right, well, welcome to the next edition of live 2D animation with Krita. Some drawing that's going to take place right here. We're going to make it up on the fly as we go. Thank you so much for being a part of this. If you happen to watch this later or now, either way is cool. I'm just glad you're here to experience it one way or the other. So let's kind of hop in and go get started. Thank you to everybody who voted, by the way. I just wanted to give a quick recognition of that. Let's hop over to that screen and see. Over here in the lower left-hand corner, thank you to everybody who cast your votes. It seems like today the dominant majority vote is for the superhero flying, so we're going to do that and try to tackle that and see where we can go with this. All right, so let's get going on that and see what we can do. All right, so this is Krita, and we are good to go here. Superhero flying. All right, so let's give a start to where that needs to be. Sometimes the brain just needs a little bit of help getting going, so I'm going to start by setting the boundaries and going with the frame rate. That is always a good place to begin. And then I'm going to start in the middle of this actually and just kind of work our way back and forth a bit. Let's go to frame 5 to make a blank frame, and let's get to it. So by this point, we're just kind of expecting that things are already in flight. Kind of helps if I'm drawing with a black tip. It was set to white. Try to get this to the point where get the rough dimensions out here. And I'm starting in the middle of things because just sometimes it's just easier to kind of get into the middle of it and then figure out where you want to be from there, I've found. That just seems to play out easier sometimes rather than trying to make sense of, like that. Rather than trying to do it all in order. There are no rules when you come to this, so that's kind of the cool thing, is that you can kind of craft this any way you really want to. There's nothing that says you can't start at the end, start in the middle. There's no reason why you can't pick a different place and work from there. And often I will, because sometimes it hasn't crystallized itself yet, and the vision becomes clear as we get going. So what we're going to do here is we're just making up this guy as we go. Didn't really get a good idea of what he was going to look like ahead of time, so I'm just kind of making this up a little bit. All right. So now we can work in nearly either direction, and I think what I'm going to do here, we're going to hop backwards a little bit and add a new frame. And let's start. If you happen to join in, by the way, and I don't see you, don't hesitate to say hey in the chat. I'll keep glancing at it, and we'll use that as it comes. But certainly don't hesitate to say hello and offer a suggestion and help me build this up. All right. So working back a little bit, what I think I want to do is we want to start the jump off. Kind of like the whole gathering strength moment, you know, where you're trying to summon the will to make the leap. Alright, so I'm going to back up a bit more. And we're going to do a similar exercise here of just, I think I might transition down just a bit as a place to start. So you may notice that, yes, some of these are going to be just kind of loose drawn. These are not going to be super high detailed. There's only so much ground you can cover in a short time. And I think it's honestly just more fun just to kind of see the animation coming into being rather than trying to get so far into the depth and the light shading and all those things. It just... Those are cool and they're good, but they take lots of time. That's not quite so interesting to watch in the moment. So we'll do this part, and maybe someday, if we get, you know, a compelling moment, we can try to come back to that. But for now, we're just going to keep this to the fun stuff. Kind of get it along as we go. Alright. Start monitoring this half down. Let's see what we've got. Alright, we're starting to get somewhere. Hey, Leon. Okay, I think I've heard of that. I'll have to look into that. Thanks, Leon. A grease pencil. Yeah, I like brushes that are not so hard tipped. I like a little bit of flexibility in them. That's why I prefer paint brushes rather than pencils, especially in this drawing format. Alright, so he can kind of be upright here for this first frame. And let's see. I have my onion skinning on, but it's very limited just so I don't get so lost in the weeds as to which frame is which. And let's see here. So Leon, do you do drawing of your own? This is kind of the moment before the hoof here. I haven't thought of a name for our superhero yet. Oh, awesome. Oils, that's a good one. I love the texture of oils. The way the color blends is just, it's magical. That's awesome. Let's give this guy a little seriousness to him. All right. So we're starting to get into the trend of things here, and we've got kind of that summoning moment into takeoff. All right, let's go forward in time now. And what I wanted to try to do here is to see if we could try getting closer. I tend to think a little bigger in my head sometimes than we can actually do. So some of these ideas are not quite tested as we do them, but sometimes it's just kind of fun to see just how far we can go in the moment in the short time that we have, and see what we can do. Guess I can give him an ear. I can do that for him. And that's kind of the bunch of his cape there. Flapping in the breeze. That might be too big of a leap, but let's see. Oh, and I should save my work. This is the thing that always gets me here, is I get going into it, I get very excited, and I forget to forget to save along the way. There we go. That'll be good. All right, I'm going to turn off onion skinning here just for a second, and let's see where we are here. Yep, there's a little bit of a thing here. Now I'm also kind of doing this tactically, to a sense where I will space these out about every other frame, sometimes more. This is meant to be a very aggressive move, this camera motion, if you will, and it helps just to kind of do the larger movement and then come back and fill in the gaps. That just seems to work out very well when doing this kind of traditional animation, is that like it can be hard to find a place to start, and I started in the middle. It can also be just, you can give yourself more flexibility just by doing it in smaller chunks and then refining it as you go. Turn my onion skinning back on, and we are going to get a little closer yet. Or we'll just kind of see his chin peeking out here, and maybe his mouth. And the cape flapping in the breeze. Arm's a little bigger than I planned on, but hey, he's a superhero, right? Gonna bring that cape around a bit here. And kind of the thought from this point here is to start getting around him to where it's a little bit further of a leap than probably I should do, but So what we're trying to do here, and if you have a suggestion for me, don't hesitate to throw in, is we're doing kind of this pan idea. I don't like how it's turning out. There we go. Where you kind of see him take the leap, gather his strength, jump into the air, and looks like my camera froze up. We'll just turn that off. Oh, okay. If there's a link coming in the chat, I didn't see it yet, Leon, but yes, certainly I'd be curious to read about it. Absolutely. Yeah. Get this guy's cape going around again here. Alright, that's kind of the tip of his nose. And next movement here. Is to kind of get to the point where we see kind of first person point of view. Some of these are just, again, pretty roughed out because we're going here for speed rather than accuracy. Alright, so let's take kind of a stock of where we are here, and let's take a look. And I'm going to save. Alright, so it's coming along here. And then for the last frame, let's see. What I think I want to do. I'm going to see if my camera's activated or not. It doesn't look hopeful. Seems like it kind of stalled. See if we can wake it up again. Alright, well that was not my proudest moment there. The whole streamer crashed, so we're just going to pick it up and we'll continue on. So my apologies if you've been watching there. The stream kind of abruptly ended just because we'll call it hardware failure. Who really knows? But it fact remains that just things cut off and I was talking to myself. So sorry about that. Alright, and then between these two frames, what I really want to try to do is, by the way, if you happen to catch this part of things, there's a prior version where we've been streaming, and I think this is going to automatically drop onto to YouTube and or Twitch, and if you happen to catch this after the fact when we're not live, I'd say go catch the beginning of it so you don't miss the exciting bits of how we got to this point. But having said that, here we are going forward. This is showing me quite a bit more than I would like. Okay. So really, here now, we're going to remove that frame. And really the goal between these two was just to kind of show we're actually going to put another layer on here. Why not? We have layers. Let's use them. So the cool thing about doing this in layers is that you can make its own frame for that layer as well, and you not only have control over that layer, but the frames in it as well. So it's a really, really cool way to animate in different chunks. And actually what I could still do is, yeah, this could run underneath. I did not fill in his hands, so we're just going to kind of pretend like they're not transparent. Just going to kind of give some idea that we're actually going somewhere. And what we can do is turn our skinning back on here just for that layer, and we'll give things just a little bit of change here. I could also duplicate that frame if I wanted to just manipulate it in other ways, but sometimes I just like carrying on the drawing, and that's how we do it. Let's go backwards here now, where we should kind of see. So if that's where we end up, then we kind of need to see something like, oops, not that. That gets in my way more than I'd like. Need to see some measure of something down here. That way, as we move, it makes a little bit more sense as to what we're looking at. All right, we've got some time that I can kind of backtrack a bit and start filling in some of these gaps. Let's look at here. So we have kind of the launch moment between those two, so let's check that out. And if you're just coming back, my apologies. For some reason, my camera died, and that seemed to cause a chokehold on the stream, and down it went. So we're back now, but something weird happened. Alright, so yet from here, really, we're just kind of filling in those moments in between. And we have to be a little bit more intentional about how this looks, just to kind of fit the groove of where we were going. Oop, that's not right. Eyes do not grow that far up the head or that close to the nose. Even as it is, it's sometimes hard to pick out the important bits of what I'm trying to do versus the frames that are in and around. They really get in my way a lot. Get that cape coming around, and let's see what we've got here. Something's going on. Let's see, which layer was I in? Oh, that's why. Well, let's bring that down then. Alright, so that kind of works. Going back to the beginning there. We jump. We could have a middle ground between those two. That would be good. And for this one, kind of having to try out another idea here, is I wanted to try working actually with the airbrush just to kind of work on kind of pseudo blurred motion. I thought that would be cool to try. Let's see. So he's on his way up quick. And arms are kind of like gonna be that might be too blurry. Yeah. Let's rein it in a little bit. No, it's not enough. That's pretty good. Can always make it more blurry after the fact. In fact, I think I will head's starting to pull up a bit. Not that it matters so much because we're moving, but get his legs underneath him, pushing off. Get that cape kind of reacting a little bit, big and grand. Let's turn off the onion skinning here for a minute. Yeah, I'm going to blur that some more. I'm not sure why it adds it to the other layer like that, but okay. There we go. Easily fixed. Thanks, Leon. Appreciate that. I will take a look. Grease pencil. It's noted. Really appreciate you being here, by the way. Thank you so much. And good luck with teaching there. If you have any postings demonstrating, I'd love to see your style and see what you're up to. I think I want to blur this one a little bit too. Now, you know what this is doing? It's working off paint layer 2, and I don't want to do that. There we go. There we go. Now, it would be more fun here as well. Oh, that's way too much. Sometimes there's a delay. To actually give it motion as well, because we're in motion. So let's do that. And I want to try, it's hard to get motion blur right in Krita, I've noticed. Even if I set the angle and like do it to the extreme, well, that's actually not too bad. Let's try that. It doesn't always come out the way I want it to. I'll do the same thing here. All right. And let's see how we're doing. Actually looks pretty cool. All right, let's see. Do we have a couple more gaps we can fill in here? Let's see, between that and that. What I think I'm going to do here is we're actually just going to do a simple duplication to help us bridge some of that space. So we're going to copy keyframe and then paste it over and do a little bit of resizing magic here. I'm actually going to turn on my onion skins a while too. And make sure I'm on target. Because we're getting closer. Alright, and I wanted to try to do kind of the, just tighten it up just a bit here. Because we're getting closer. And for this, this can be confusing if you haven't done sharpening before. The unsharp mask is actually more effective. If you're not familiar with the term from photography, it's actually a really old school term where they used to use an unsharp, a blur approach, in order to reverse out blurry blurry shots. So unsharp is actually a tool for sharpening. So that's you can see how much that attempted to rein that in, which was actually too much. So we'll just add a little bit of compensating blur back, because I do like that it's darker and tighter, and it should be because we're closer to them. But we're just going to throw in a little traditional blur to go with that, and I think that's decent enough because the moment passes so quickly. In fact, you're not supposed to see him clearly in that moment because he's accelerating rapidly. Take a look. A little progress check here. All right. We have a couple other quickie gaps here. We can fill in some of these. We still got a couple of minutes, I think, if take a stab at some of them, but I think you can get the general idea of what's going on here. So just to restate once more, when you're working on animation like this, just in case you happen to have just joined in, there's really no rule or structured approach that you have to take when you do this stuff. You can start wherever you want. You can work on whatever piece you want. You can work in the middle and work your way out in both directions. You can start at the end. Really, there's a lot of flexibility and freedom in what you want to do or how you want to do it when you start creating these frames. You can pick any frame anywhere. Let's see, for some reason, oh, because I'm on the move tool, I was going to say it's not giving me the brush. What is going on? Sometimes the things that just you just lose track of what you were doing. All right, and we're trying to bridge in between, actually, we're kind of moving forward, so we're going to start to see like the tip of hands here. And these are not aiming so much for accuracy, just because, again, we're trying to get through the good stuff for your benefit. It's just kind of more the exercise of creating the motion and the animation here. We can actually fix that up too, because we go from there, in this layer, and let's bridge that a little bit. because yeah, we have some transitional pieces we can do there too. And I don't have to be so careful about ending on top of things. Right now my objects are transparent, so my line would continue through them, but I could erase them as I did before in case you missed that. So it's just kind of me trying to move the process along more. All right, cool. So this should start to I'm going to slow it down just a bit more because it goes by pretty fast. But that's essentially the process there, and I think that is close enough that we can see where I'm going, and rather than belabor the process, it's just going to be more of the same of kind of filling in the blanks. But you can kind of see the general idea of putting this together, and it's a really good demonstration of kind of starting in chunks and then working your way through here. So that's really it, and that's really kind of the point of today's episode. So once again, I will be doing this on Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Starting Eastern, every week that I can. If I can't, I'll let you know, but that's the plan right now. Also, I'm sorry that my camera died on us. I'll see what's going on there, and I'll try to come back so you can see me talking. Other than that, I wish you guys all a pleasant afternoon. Thank you so much for joining and coming back, especially if you were there on the extreme cutoff before. I will see you again next Wednesday. Everybody take care. Thank you so much.